Greetings, blessings, salutations once again. Welcome back to Chats with Jack, brothers and sisters. Oh, it's great to start something you've been anticipating, right? And I've been looking forward to returning again today with the hopes. What might be possible. So once again, brothers and sisters, thank you to those who have been part of this Talcottian adventure. It really is appreciated. See, these lives we're living together, it's really quite a fascinating experience. When you allow yourself time to stop and think, which my journey has allowed me a lot of time to stop and think, to spend time in inner reflection, in contemplation of what it is that makes me me. So today, brothers and sisters, I have dropped the link already for those who are present and wish to join the conversations. But the topic today that I'd like to consider is loyalty, right? Loyalty it's an incredible phenomenon, easily be misused, right? This society, speaking as an American, the society I grew up in, taught us to pledge allegiance and offer loyalty to a concept, an idea that was placed into our heads. It's a beautiful story, the American dream, that is. Chuck in Tennessee, bless you. Bless you deeply. Gratitude. Thank you. All those words were meant to go together. Thank you, Chuck. Bless you. And to all those who are stopping by, seriously, this adventure of life it can be pretty overwhelming sometimes, right? And then you bring in this dynamic of virtual dimensions here in the social media realm. Life can certainly get a little confusing, a little whoops, there we go. Life can certainly become a little uncertain, confusing. Anyway, back to the topic. Loyalty, right? It's an important topic that we all know. So I looked up some definitions, some things to consider regarding loyalty. It's a devotion, a sentimental attachment. Loyalty is consistent in treatment, behavior, and regard for the subject, the thing, the person, the idea. So it's consistent in our behavior, our regard. Loyalty is when, you show your love to someone in front of them, and then you're willing to stand up in love apart from them, to stand up for the truth of who they are. So I made a bunch of notes today again. But the idea of loyalty is, who are you loyal to? What should one become loyal to? And the greatest thing I truly believe at this point, I was considering this earlier, in preparation for this, but what God is who we're to be loyal to. See, God is that which reveals the truth. And the truth can be overwhelming. It can be confusing. It can be infuriating. The truth can be painful. But God is that which reveals the truth, and I believe it is done so through love. We are the love that the truth has revealed, the truth being reality. So loyalty to yourself, who you truly are, Not what you think you are, but who you are. And I realize now I'm kind of bouncing around on some topics here, and I hope the points will come together. But there was a discussion earlier previously with our friend Jay Hub, and I brought something up, and he said, "Well, we should agree to a definition. We should get into the definition of God first before we got to the topic." And that is true. That is true. However, how do you know anything if you don't know who you are and your relationship to whatever it is that you're trying to understand? Right? If you don't know where you are, what it is you're looking at may have a different context or or view. So dang it, I glanced at the chat. So thank you guys, by the way. Thank you to all of you. Loyalty, becoming loyal to the truth. And here's the truth that I've considered, and a conclusion I can offer to you that I can explain in many ways. Okay, brothers and sisters, science, when I say science as well, what I'm talking about is facts and data, studies that have shown patterns of these things. So when I say science, I'm technically, generally using it in the context of, as I said, studies and findings. The conclusion I've come to, in which I believe science and everything, resonates with, is that there is energy. We've got the universal forms of energy. All is energy, right? And what we are, this energy is timeless and it is formless, okay? And the timeless, formless energy is which we are a part of. We perceive energy, we consume energy, we transmit energy. We are energetic beings. We are multidimensional, energetic beings of consciousness at our very core, at our very essence. All of us, everyone who is like me of flesh and blood, right? It's what we are. Humanity has been deceived and it has become confused. But consider that a perfect story. It makes perfect sense when you recognize the possibilities. And holy cows, Chuck in Tennessee, God bless you, brother. Again, thank you so much. The membership, the contributions, it's not, that's not going to change life in any fashion or sort, but what it does do is it really does, it's visible data and and it's visible evidence that there is encouragement. And brothers and sisters, that's really what I am trying to do at the core of my being. I'm simply trying to encourage everyone to do better. Because better is right there. Perfection is right now. Until we judge it otherwise, or we, jump in with reactions and screw the moments up. Holy cows, man. Life. Hey, Chuck, I truly see that about you. I am the same way. Your contributions, your encouragement, man, it is well received. I want you to know that. But here, to where I was. I allowed myself to get distracted from the worldly, the worldly ideas distracted me. My own fault. So what I've realized is there is this universal field of energy that is timeless and formless, that that creates the space for us to be, and the perfection. I mean, whether the planet is flat or round or whatever, the distance between us and the sun, it's perfect. We're not too far, we're not too close. um the fact that life has evolved in this fashion for us, it truly is. It is a miracle. And brothers and sisters, I do believe in miracles. I've experienced miraculous transformations um, within myself. I've heard so many testimonies. So many people have miracles in healing, miracles in transformation, miracles in relationships. God, our creator that reveals the story of history, man, it is divine, miraculous in all of its creations. And all of its creations include you and me. There is a perfection of us. There's a perfected version of us, one that doesn't make mistakes, one that doesn't intentionally do dumb things. There's one of us that is better than we ever were. I truly believe that. This is the only thing that makes sense to me now, okay? Is that we live in this inverted reality. Our society is a perfect example. Good is bad, bad is good. It's wars, militaries, billionaires, all this crap. People have idolized the Bible, and many of the other religions speak on the power and the importance of the truth, right? And the Bible is a powerful book. There's a lot of wisdom contained within it to be found. But there's also a lot of confusion to be gained through misinterpretations. So the point I was getting to with the Bible, there's many lessons in there right now, but we cannot serve two masters, right? Let's start right there. What are you idolizing? What is consuming your time, your energy, your thoughts, your activity? What are your efforts working towards? Selfishness, which is what the world teaches. Okay, and here, let me get back to what I've observed about the world as well. It has conditioned all of us, because this society where authority prospers and poverty suffers, in this reality we live in, conflicts and trauma are profitable, because fear is a proven method of controlling humans. You make humans afraid, and then their mind's not thinking clearly, and then you dangle the option you want them to go for, and there you go. You just tamed the human being, and lead them along into their own self-destruction. McDonald's, and all these sodas, and tobacco and booze, and all these drugs and crap. It's just temptations that humanity has found to be. I'm saying that humanity has become lost and confused, and it's probably by a divine purpose. I'm going to tie some of these thoughts together. We can't worship two masters. right? There's many people who deny their feelings in order to logically make profits and thrive in a corrupted society. So can't serve two masters. So the truth, let the truth from a loving perspective become your ruler. Let the truth from a loving perspective become your guide forward, because that is the Christed mind. That is the mind and the perspective that is available for you, with you at all times. This is what I realized for myself. So, the way this world of fear and trauma and conflicts works, it's through feeding the ego, the primitive beast that is in the human. The primitive beast that is in human, the worldly form of flesh, the meat suit we are, in order to survive, it's got to protect itself, right? It's got to make itself worthy in order to fit in with the tribe, in order to gain a mate. So we've got a society where everyone places their value outside of themselves. It's all based on results, as some like to throw in my face. The material results, it is a gauge of the past, certainly, but it does not indicate the value for the future in any aspect. That's what I learned about myself. Even though my bank account was overdrawn and my social life was non-existent, my health was miserable. Even though I had those things going against me, I convinced myself I could do more. Not just for myself, but in service of others, in service of the world. This is what transformed my own life, brothers and sisters, okay? What transformed my own life was the shift in perspective, the acceptance of what God had revealed, no longer denying the truth like a little coward, right? And I stopped being so selfish, so worried about what people thought of me, or stop worrying about, I stopped worrying. I started caring more about others. I started caring about the lives others were living. And you know what? When I did that, guess what? I stopped worrying about my own problems so much. And when I stopped worrying about my own problems so much, guess what? I felt better. Man, it's what it's truly the message the mystics. Thank you, brother. You see, men like you get chalked up. You guys do an incredible job of bringing more entertainment than me. I recognize I talk slow. I can sometimes really, really put people to sleep. And it's not intentional. Bless you guys. Seriously, man. What I learned, right? The message in the Bible, the spiritual transformation to receive the Holy Spirit, just cleanse yourself. Cleanse yourself of the corruption. Cleanse yourself of the sinful thoughts. Learn self-control so you stop being controlled. That's the words. Learn self-control to stop being controlled. Because those who have self-control can't be manipulated. And self-control is available. It's by increasing your increasing your awareness and your conscious presence, right? Discussing loyalty, the topic. What I've learned to do for myself is to trust. I'm a part of God's plans. I wouldn't be here if I was not. There is no thing without God. um, see, anyway, there's so much to that. I've come to realize that I am a part of God's story. And I will not bring that to the panel, whoever it is in the back. Not with that name. Please. The image is adorable, but I cannot bring that up. Okay. Life and love, man. Love. Loyalty. Loyalty is the topic. I chose to become loyal to myself, to what I know within me as far as what I'm capable of. I became loyal to me by becoming present with me, by becoming loyal to the moment. I found that I made the most mistakes, the most reactions, most of our reactions, you learn something, you react. It's an imagined future, right? So if I recognize that information is information, I don't need to react, I can respond. Becoming loyal to peace, becoming loyal to love, becoming loyal to myself, honestly, because that's the truth. Don't judge me. Bless you. Thank you. You as well. The support and encouragement of many of you has been truly appreciated. I mean, I think of it when I'm not even here. I really do. But that's what we do. Guys, that's what we do. We think about things when things aren't here in the now. So think about what you're offering to others who will be thinking about you. Right? We worry so much about, I don't know. I know myself. And when I say we, I know myself. I used to worry about so many foolish things, so many unimportant things. Loyalty. What we become loyal to has a relevance in our life. Okay. And so if we don't see someone or something as relevant to our life, then yeah, we won't have any loyalty. As I'm saying this, that must be what happened to me. I was apparently irrelevant to the lives of my ex-wife, obviously. My son, my friends, my union. Bizarre. I don't mean to get off on that. What golly geez. Timmy, bless you, brother. Golly geez. Oh, I see the sticker. For those who can't see the actual chat. Hey, bless you, brother. I appreciate it. Loyalty, is it sacrifice? I love this. Thank you. Back to the topic. It can be sacrifice. It often is. That is truly where our loyalty is tested. Most common example I can think of is, you got a friend or a spouse and you supposedly care about, supposedly respect, and you get in a different crowd without them, and all of a sudden the gossip is just trashing your spouse or your friend or someone you supposedly care about. Do you sacrifice yourself to stand up? Do you offer potential retaliation for offering a perspective that contradicts? Sometimes I've done that. I was very loyal to my role as a union leader, and I had to risk my reputation standing up for others and for the facts as I understood them. So we have sacrifice. That's a great question. I might consider sacrifice as a future topic in itself. Because there is a sacrifice in every relationship. For a relationship to be true, there must be a bond, and the bond creates a vulnerability, allowing ourselves to attach to another being or idea, whatever, creates a bond and a connection to us. So I'm going to come back to as well for loyalty. Become loyal to God, right? And if you can allow God to be the unknown, which reveals what may be known, God is the future that reveals the present so that the past can be understood. So if you can be loyal to God in the present moment, remembering we only live right now. Now is the only time to live, think, choose, remember, feel now. So if you can be loyal to God, loyal to now, loyal to love, be pure with your love. Don't be selfish with your love, meaning don't only love those things that benefit you. Love those things that are important, that can be cared about. Golly geez. Our Pole, bless you, brother. I'm assuming, brother. Let's get this donation train rolling. You know, I have admittedly allowed myself to splurge, so to say, support a local business with treats that I didn't need, and I was thanking the people who have contributed. Hey, blessings to you all. So loyal to God, loyal to now, ride the train. Amen. Hey, think for yourself. Think for yourself. Don't just follow along because it's a good idea. um, uh, Loyal to God, loyal to now, right? Loyal to time, loyal to love. Love is accepting, love is empowering, love is encouraging, love is inspiring. Be loyal to love and that which brings those things forth from you, that which empowers you, that which inspires you, that which encourages you. There's your things to love. But guess what? Find it all within you. Love you, love being you, the opportunity to be you, to learn what you have learned, to overcome and maybe repair whatever karma was due. Love being you. Um, Praise be Chuck. And we got our guest, Jesse. Looks like you're traveling again, brother. Welcome. Chuck in Tennessee. May God guide us all as we travel these strange times. That is well said, man. I do share in those prayers. Um, hey, so loyal to God, loyal to now, loyal to love, loyal to the truth. Hurts. Sometimes the truth shatters. But if we can love the truth more than life itself, well, actually, that's the last one. Be loyal to life. And not just our own life, for there's one life that we are a part of. We are one part of life here on earth, all of us together. And so, if we can be loyal to life, to truly commit to ourselves, I will do no harm. I will be truthful. I will be humble to the truth. I will be kind. I will be generous. I will be loving. When you start believing you will be those things, guess what? You will discover you are those things. I am loving. I am kind. I am generous. I am honorable. I am valuable. I can say those things as me because I know that I am you and you are me. We are those things. Today, oh, the other part to this, right? I think we are here to rise above, to raise our consciousness, so to say. There's many paths that have been left for us by the mystics, those who have ascended their own ways of thinking in order to better understand the true energies of the divine. And the divine is the mystical, it is the creative force. I call it God. But I believe we are here. I've heard it explained that our spirit, our energetic spirit, our soul has allowed humanity to descend into this darkness where everyone's been at war with them, with each other, at war with themselves, where greed and immorality have prospered. I think it's by God's divine plan that our consciousness has allowed the collective to descend. But we, this is what I hear from others, we are part of an incredible shift, a galactic shift, maybe a universal shift, but we are going through a shift here on Earth. And I truly trust and believe the purpose is to ascend, to raise our ways of thinking and our ways of living, to to rise above the dualistic ways of thinking, right? The dualistic where we're in competition with each other for survival, for wealth, for mates, right? Where there's good and evil, it's light and dark. That's duality. And duality is a part of the third dimension. So if we change our perspective and rise above the thoughts and the beliefs of separation, we can rise into the fifth dimension, which is the unity, the wholeness, the love. We vibrate emotionally, right? I don't know how it comes into being in the physical, but there is a vibrational frequency to our thoughts and our feelings, electrical and magnetic. And we we resonate our reality through us. This is what I've learned. Jesse, feel free to pop in at any time, but
Jack, I'm so glad you kept talking. I was humming and hawing of coming in because you're just such an eloquent speaker, and don't sell yourself short when you're saying that, you maybe get boring or fall asleep. None of that. Like, you're so captivating. You're such a wonderful speaker. And, people keep still hating on you is because they're just jealous that you can hold a broadcast on your own. And it's wonderful to see, man.
Jesse, respect. Thank you so much. You as well, man. You have been, whether you know it or not, there's been many people in my experience that have been like angels, right? In the way that love and transformative ideas have been shared, divine messages, so to say. Jeebus, thank you, brother. Golly geez. You guys. And then the other side of this is the disbelief. Kululu Ikanan Mbembe, if I said it closely. You're welcome to click the link should you desire. And I don't believe I am ranting about nonsense, to be honest. I feel like, well, my prayers before starting to stream, my prayers were that I be peaceful, that Jack gets out of the way, that God and Spirit guides me to share the encouragement and the inspiration that's available. And my loyalty is to my words, to myself, to what is true. My loyalty is to God, to the divine. I just simply pray often that I find my way so that I might best serve. This was actually an inspiration I received earlier from someone else, a Christian YouTube channel I follow, talking about how God does guide us. And through the path of guidance, we can discover that our purpose truly is to serve one another. So, Paul Enslaved, God bless you. I do still have love for you, my friend, and I trust you know that. But holy cows, man. Anyway, hey, this is funny as well. Trademark infringement. I'm assuming this is being brought up between me and Paul, where Paul has publicly claimed that I should just give him Live Without Fear. He doesn't talk to me about working together like I've offered or suggested, but this clown says that he should just take what is mine. And then with the Love Without Fear, I thought it was a novel idea. I made the investment believing that the clown would see the value in working with someone like me, but praise be.
Jack, you're speaking so eloquently, God's words. Keep it on a higher level. Keep it on a place where we need to, people really resonate with that. The back and forth, it's getting to childish behavior, and you're above that, and stay above that.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. That is the reminder I should heed. I know it is my ego. It is Jack's ego. I love to fucking fight, man. That is fun. But what I don't enjoy anymore is the recognition that I've hurt people. And I don't think anyone likes to recognize they've hurt someone else. And so, brothers and sisters, number one, right there, it's right in front of our face. An obvious reason why we shouldn't get into fights. It's not fun to hurt someone. It's not fun to
not fun for you. Some people find fun in pushing people's buttons and getting that adversarial role, taking that satanic energy on. Some people find, comfort or whatever it is they find in that, but not for most people that are living or trying to live as balanced as possible. They don't find fun in that.
Well, this is what I've learned too, brother. The human ego, we're surrounded. I mean, there's an ego within us and they're waiting to take control, right? And our ego is waiting to take control or waiting to serve. Hey, Lori S., your constant name calling and victimization, you're claiming to be a victim of many things. So please, people know the truth. So there you go. So no reason to keep bringing attacks here. If we can't be kind, what is the point? Seriously, what is the point of not being kind? I mean, I know. Everyone's got a purpose, everyone's got a belief. But you know what I've realized? Peace. It feels so good to go to sleep without guilt, without resentments, without, you know, irritable, hateful thoughts brewing in my head. It feels so good to let it go. Where did I write that down?
That's awesome. And it's classic. She steals the show from somebody else, gets me to put it on with her, and then, backstabs me and then claims I stole the show, which I don't even have the show. And she's been badmouthing me for 3 straight years. It just shows how classless she is. And then happy that I had my hip surgery done, saying it's karma. Happy that I had to go through some pain and suffering to now be stronger than ever. Right? It just shows how classless some people are.
It is unfortunate. And actually, Jesse, I don't know what you think, but the link is available, Lori. If
Come on
there's
up. Come on up. Yeah,
grievances
come on up.
to
I'd love to
be
discuss this with
resolved,
you.
amen. Domenic, welcome, brother. Good to see you too. Where were
Hi,
you?
Jack. Hi, Jack. Hi, Jesse.
What's up?
Did you want to stay in the back this time?
No,
Or
I'm okay. I'm okay. Good energy
I'm
here, Jack.
sorry, I turned your volume down a bit. It was pretty loud. Try again.
Okay.
What were you saying?
Can you hear me, Jack?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome. You guys have thoughts on loyalty, experiences or lessons of loyalty? Thoughts you think are good?
Yeah, I think we can be loyal to our behaviors, whether they're positive or negative or constructive or destructive. Yeah.
Well, you said loyal to our behaviors with the awareness they can be constructive or destructive. We're not loyal to that which we don't pay attention to. And many people don't pay attention to their own behaviors. They're constantly looking outside of them to see opinions of results. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense. It's when the person becomes consciously aware of those destructive behaviors. You have to walk away from them.
Yeah. Thank you, Domenic. And I love your perspectives. Once we identify the destructive behaviors, though, that is the option. Do we walk away? Do we confront? Do we try to correct? When the behaviors are within ourselves, for the benefit of the world, we've got to correct ourselves, right? When we find ourselves exhibiting unhelpful, unhealthy behaviors, destructive behaviors, we've really got to learn to correct ourselves. But most people don't pay attention to themselves. That's what I've realized. Well,
part of the
they
concept.
think
That's right, Jack.
Did what I said, did that make sense?
It resonates, but yeah, we could use sense or reasons to explain it. But yes, sometimes it does. It's nonsense, meaning it's not about senses. It could be something else. It could be you could be talking very intuitive at that point.
Sorry, my mind went away from where I was. Oh, well, in the end, what it comes down to ourselves. Oh, where I was going with being aware of their own behavior. And when we find destructive behavior, and all of us do, we all encounter either unhealthy things from in ourselves or around us, but actually, this backwards world has normalized destruction. So many people don't even notice it. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, brother, I just I gotta spray some of this popcorn ceiling and then spray this ceiling. So I'll be listening. If she does want to come up, I'm not afraid of the truth. I'll pop back in, but I'm just gonna be listening while I do the ceiling, and then I'll pop in after I'm done spraying.
Beautiful. Thanks, brother. Hey, and we got another guest here. Whoops, I muted the wrong one. Maybe, never mind. Welcome, Illuminati. Where was the idea? Oh, overcoming our own destructive patterns and recognizing the destructive patterns that are around us. This is our one lifetime to live as ourselves, right? So, golly geez, Margot Davy, does that denial confetti? Jack and Jesse use the word truth like denial confetti. Fascinating. What I've observed in most people is the accusations they bring forth are actually accurate descriptions of themselves. Margot, your denial confetti has been quite, I don't know the right word, perplexing, frustrating, infuriating, educational. I don't know. People are fascinating but here's where we're at, guys. Seriously. Loyalty. We got a lot of people running around in our society today, in our governments, and in the in the militaries, in the I don't know the right words, the accurate words, our law enforcement. We got a lot of people that have taken oaths to play a role in a costume or to play a character in politics. We've got a lot of people that are not loyal to the truth because they've been deceived. They've become loyal to things of the world with the belief that the world knows better. I don't know if this is making sense. I shared this comment. Jesse had a wonderful guest on a stream earlier today. I caught in for a bit of it. One of the observations I shared there is that this world of lies and corruption, it profits and survives, it thrives by convincing people to deny their intuition and what they know. It's absolute insanity that has allowed our governments and the wealth disparity to thrive. So what do we do, brothers and sisters, if we're waking up to the truth, right? If all of us are those who are joined here today and those who tune in later, if we're all waking up to the truth in our own perspective, that there's major problems going on with the way the world has been operating, what do you think we should do? I think we should be loyal to the future, right? How do you be loyal to something that's not here, that you've never met? That's where the brilliance of our Creator comes in. Our Creator has gifted us, instilled within us the spirits of life, the spirit of consciousness, which allows us to travel great times, great distances through consciousness. We have the gift of imagination and inspiration, the bodies and the opposable thumbs so that we can take actions today. Brothers and sisters, the future The future of prosperity and peace is here. It's up to us to accept that it is and to become willing to create it. I hope that makes sense. Jessica Jane, bless you. You're lighting the flowers. That's the way you seem to shine. It's like a beautiful flower in this dysfunctional community of good people that have come forth. Panel thoughts?
Jack.
Welcome, brother. The audio is horrible. Can you try again?
Horrible.
Just try again. Say something. When I say try again, may you speak more, please.
Hey, Jack.
I think it's doable. How have you been, my friend?
I'm blessed, sir.
I know you are. I know we are. You know why?
Jack, do you think that we should be all over here giving money to YouTube and Google that promotes profiteering off fascism, censorship, and legal secrets?
It profits from providing the tool of communication that I truly do appreciate and respect. I don't mind YouTube getting a little bit of, a little bit of fiat in part of that. I don't appreciate they take so much from the kind and generosity that's offered, to us as creators. But it's the what's the word? It's the intentions that's most important to me, to be honest. And like our poll said, it's not about the money. And that's what I see. People are sharing love. That's what they do for you too,
So
brother,
you
and you
think,
know that.
so you think that intention is more important?
I'm sorry, brother. The audio got can't understand.
Do you think the intention is more important than the result?
Do I think something result? I could not. I'm sorry, man. Breaking up. Technology is working against you in this moment. Holy cows. Has there been another merger? Is this Illuma Poly? I did hear rumors. I don't know if you're there or not. Domenic, you typically have some, greater perspectives and kind views. I appreciate. What do you think on anything?
Well, loyalty, I guess. We were talking earlier, and to maintain the loyalty of good behavior is no different than bad behavior. If a person's aware of it, hopefully they can maintain it or at least try to understand it, regardless if it's good or bad behavior, because it might serve them in those moments. So, I get it. I hear it, Jack, and I think it's great to hear it. Honest with oneself is a little bit different than being truthful. The energy of truth is its own energy, and usually it doesn't need to be defended. It's like the energy of love, unconditional. But I get it. It's a good sentiment to say the word, but a lot of times our actions or our consistency, our patterns will indicate if we're following something that's true. A person that's a thief, talks like a thief, acts like a thief, is being true to themselves. It's not about truth. It's about true, being true like a wheel. And a lot of people haven't done that. Paul, I've heard him, he has done it. A lot of people haven't done that self-investigation of themselves. So a lot of times it just becomes words that we share, whether out of reaction or some trigger point, which is another reaction, obviously. No different people do triggers when it comes to, say, compliments. I agree, I disagree. Well, that's the ego talking. Again, those are just words. And we could be loyal to those things. If we're obligated,
Yes. Loyal and obligated, responsible, accountable, connected to. Well, devotion, maybe commitment.
Well, the
And
example
and yeah, I'm sorry, I was kind of
No.
processing what you were saying too about truth and honesty.
Mhm.
People believe in a lot of illogical things. Um, it's part of this realm we live in. And what is true for one is not necessarily true for another based upon what they've learned or experienced. But the behavior, the results, the good, what we know, what we believe, what we do, say, or think, it only comes forth in the now. And what I've been practicing trying to do is to surrender my thoughts from the now and just allow the now to move me. If that
Jack,
makes
I think that you need to do some fellowship with that moose creature down there. He still seems very confused and emotional, and he now thinks God is like doing everything, right? These people who talk all this stuff about ego and learned helplessness, they like to blame God for everything, wait for God to do everything. No, it was simply the fact that I'm in the forest in the mountains and I was on a phone with no signal. Wasn't God intervening to stop me because God didn't want everyone to hear me? It's
at
just
that
simply a
time,
shitty cell phone signal.
which God allows. So in the end, and I get what you're saying though, the people blame God, and I don't agree with that either. And I don't blame God, although it may sound that way, but I'm not. I credit God. Praise be, man. Because whatever the past was, it's done. I am now. And if I'm now, what might God allow me to be in the future? Right, Paul? Because all we know is what we have been or what others say we have been. But
Right. I still contend that in order to make change in this realm, you need a healthy amount of directed ego.
when it's mastered, absolutely. But when the ego is in control and seeking to control others, no, man, that's just foolishness. That's what I realized for myself. I think you know that too. We don't
Right.
control.
I think that our contention is where I'm seeking to hold folks accountable to what they're doing and not doing and the results they're getting or not getting. It's characterized as being controlling or abusive. And again,
But
if we
there's other attributes and examples of where you're controlling, primarily in the patterns of conversation, controlling the conversation, which controls the time, which it's Paul, it's a primitive insecurity that's coming forth. So whatever, the past brought us to where we are. And what I found with you, Paul, is that you have these results and standards, fine for yourself, but your results and standards don't give you the right to be insulting and try to overpower others. Speaking for myself.
Sure. I mean, again, if there is no right or non-right, I mean, as far as that goes, like it's about perception of that. Everyone has a right to everyone has a right to speak freely and to emote how they choose. What you do with
As
that and how
long
you interpret that is usually your responsibility and accountability. Other folks don't have to change who and what they are for you to perceive the value in them and move forward where you do not.
Hey, Paul, for people to exercise rights freely, they better have a moral standard within themselves to become accountable for their freely chosen actions, freely chosen words. Now, Paul, one needs to be, there is a right and wrong. There is a right and wrong that is every moment gives us a new opportunity to figure out what is right, what is wrong. What is right is truth, truthful, honest.
Right. And sometimes, as we know in a cliche, you cannot be truthful and also not offend. This is an age-old philosophical understanding that the completely authentic, truthful man is bound to offend.
Paul, without accuracy, there is no truth, right? And just because you're accurate doesn't mean you're correct. That's what it was. Without accuracy, you can be accurate but not correct. But in order to be correct, you must be accurate. And what I see the egos doing, yourself is a good example, Paul, is exaggerations. Everybody is this. Everybody is this. You know, so that exaggeration keeps one from being accurate and correct and truthful.
I was under the impression that I hear you regularly make generalizations about folks. Even in this broadcast, you just did it. So we have to be.
If you have specifics where I'm wrong, please challenge me.
Yeah, you regularly say, I'm paraphrasing, but you'll say one thing, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. One thing we observe about this reality is humans are insane. You'll say things along this line. So is that the experience you're having? Is that everyone's experience? Is it okay to generalize there and not other places? Of course, they're going to be broad brush generalizations made at times that may apply to all people, including the self, at times, if not presently.
All right. That is fair enough. There are times for generalizations because otherwise, if you try to be too specific, the ego can't pay attention. It gets fucking confused. You know that. So the exaggerations that I was in my mind is many of the things you've said about me. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why do we always bring it to a thing where it becomes about you and me? Like you always talk about ego, but you always make the conversation about things I've said about you in the past.
Right.
We can never talk objectively or generally without it circling the drain on your feelings toward me and about me and what I do with you.
Well, you kind of took us off with your defensive pattern there, but if you in this conversation on this panel, thank you, by the way. I think this is probably the most peaceful conversations we've had in a while, and I appreciate it. But what I was talking about in the context of this conversation, the problems between us, Paul, they haven't been real. It's been your egoic opinions and your patterns. That's been the problem between you and I, Paul. Sometimes the truth isn't comfortable to say, and I don't feel comfortable saying this, but it's truthful.
Well, I understand that you perceive it as truthful, but that's where we always kind of have a gap.
Well, what are the facts? Do you have facts that would counter or that, I mean, I'm happy to actually, I'd prefer if you just consider accepting what I'm saying, because I've got plenty of facts that offer support for the truth.
Yeah, I think I should probably show some discernment here and just kind of bow out, because we've done this so many times in the past that once we go to me putting up what I see as facts and you completely disagreeing with them because you have your own facts, we're going to get combative and it's going to get belligerent and it's going to be a this or that thing.
Amen. And actually Flo's here too. So if you want to bow out, this would be an ideal switch,
I actually at some point would like to have an interaction with Flo State if he's capable of putting his emotions and quote unquote ego aside. Because it's interesting when I actually...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
When I actually hear him speak, oftentimes I find that we're pretty much aligned. Like when he stops trying to play up to your ego just to be having a spot on the panel and actually speaks his mind freely when he feels comfortable, when you don't threaten him, we actually kind of align on a lot of stuff. And that's what I find so interesting is he identifies with you and your personality and lifestyle, but we actually align more when it comes to principles and economics and politics and other sort of things. And this is what I always find
Paul?
fascinating about psychology and subpsychology is the identification versus the understanding.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And Flo, welcome. To what you just said, though, Paul, right before Flo showed up, I was offering this opportunity for you and I to have a conversation without the ego. And you said you want that with him. So I can bow out and you guys can have that conversation. I mean, and Paul, you and I don't disagree on the main values and stuff, but if you think that, okay. Hey, welcome, Flo.
Thank you. Well,
go ahead.
huh?
I was going to invite Paul to. You're here, and Paul
I mean,
said,
I am open to that. I don't know. I don't think that it'll go well. I don't think it'll go far. I don't disagree, though, that Paul and I have some similar views. It's what's after that, you know. And I'm trying to keep a pleasant discussion without going into the issues then, because they're obviously, if we saw things, if we were aligned on things, we wouldn't have any disagreements, but we have disagreements.
I think the main disagreement comes in the idea of who or what we're supposed to be based on what we've learned. I mean, I've even seen this with you and your kind of attachment style with your father and what you say is a resolution, which is to completely ignore what you and him have been through, rather than to just hash it out, have the controversy, have the conflict. And if it's unpretty or unresolved, at least you know who and what you are, where you stand, and everything has been said, nothing is unsaid. So I think that's where the identification comes in, is I'm viewed as unkind and unpolite because I'd rather say everything and all things and get everything on the table, regardless of how it's labeled and characterized, versus avoid and ignore and pretend like everything is nice and kind and polite and okay, instead of just addressing the facts of the matter and moving on and possibly getting resolution or just being okay without resolution.
Well, you have to understand that sometimes social interaction is a give and take. If we all just did whatever we wanted, which is basically what saying unfiltered truth is all the time as we perceive it, we'd piss all over the toilet seat, not wipe it up. You know, you'd just be a selfish asshole. So
I don't understand how speaking truth and expressing completely is akin to pissing all over the toilet seat and not wiping it up.
So that's what I was getting to. There is utility in truth. There's not utility in offending people. Offending people is not a requirement for speaking the truth. It's
right. You presume everybody has the same sensibilities when it comes to the ability to be offended. That's a personal, subjective experience.
I agree. It is a personal, subjective experience.
So
And
by that
people get
logic, right,
offended
we
way
could
too
never talk
easily.
to any of the leftists because they're going to get offended by every other thing we say and just the language we use and the clothes we show up in.
I'm not saying to tiptoe around irrational sensitivity. What I'm saying is there's no reason to be unnecessarily douchey. Now, we can take a case study, though. How is your relationship with your father taking your approach? How's that working out?
Again, sir, you presume to know my approach because you've seen the last year and a half of a metaversal interaction. That's your ignorance and foolishness, right? That's your I don't know. You just said you would let me have. I'm going to bow out, Flo, because this is the same pattern every time. We're not going to be able to have a discussion. He's going to make it about him. He is the egoic one, and we can never put emotions and ego aside to have real.
You're staying in denial with your victim card.
I mean,
and continuing the blame.
You can give him one more chance. He's soapboxing. Paul, just resist the urge to soapbox and have the conversation.
I'll step back again.
It's your show, and this is not
Flo, I respect. You've got a very reasonable, and you do better than me sometimes. I've been learning from examples. If Paul's willing, please.
Always learning.
Why do you keep saying if I'm willing? I'm not only willing, I'm able. You keep showing you're not willing or able.
Proven your unwillingness and lack of ability for months.
The soapbox right now.
But Flo, State, this is what I'm saying. It's so laughable. You'll come here daily, but you'll never come on my panel and just have a discussion man to man.
Well,
It's-
I'll
it's
have a
amazing to
discussion with
me.
you. You're welcome to my panel anytime. I come on here when you're.
Yeah,
up
you
here.
want to
What I
promote
don't
your
do- What I won't
broadcast.
do, yeah, because you backstage like a motherfucker. I'm not going
I've
to come
already
up to your
told
panel.
you over and over again that's a weak excuse. I ain't gonna
See the
backstage you.
selfishness,
Okay, then-
unwilling to help. It's
Yeah.
the reason.
I can't
He
even
won't
talk
do
to you
that.
directly without your counsel butting in
done.
and being
I'm done
defensive.
with-
It's ridiculous.
Hey,
You guys are grown men and you can't
Do you
talk one at
think
a
this-
time.
Do you think there's any change, even if I step back? I mean,
No.
Paul
Yeah,
is
confer with Flow
welcome.
State.
You know, let's discuss the facts. Flo, you just pointed out Paul is welcome to your panel. I truly trust and believe that. When
Yeah.
you go to his panel, it is many people who don't actually help and resolve or peaceful dialogue. And
He
Paul
talks
knows that.
over. He turns down mics. He backstages. He has the little gaggle of homeless people talking shit. It's and it would help his views. I'm not going to
Right.
contribute my time to helping his channel. Is the main thing.
And did you hear that? That's his reason for not wanting to go to yours, is because you want to promote your channel. How
I didn't hear
dare
that.
you want to
I didn't
grow?
hear him say that. Did he say that?
That's what he said.
Oh yeah.
Because you want to promote your channel.
I
So
mean,
that would
that's
mean
fine.
that would mean you're benefiting from him, and that would mean in his mind you're using him because he doesn't want to fucking benefit anybody except himself. He's a
Did you
selfish,
see
arrogant
the
prick.
viewers? Did you see what happened to your live viewers when he came in?
I didn't pay much attention.
It dropped by
I-
a quarter.
Did it drop?
Yeah, it went from like 85 to 60. I don't even know where it's at now, but
We're over 70 right now.
Yeah.
You know,
but
it's
either way, like I'm Paul, I assume that you're listening, and I am open to having a conversation that's sincere, and that's what I think is missing from a lot of the conversation. I don't think that Paul comes with sincerity. Even though I don't believe he's sincere really ever, I'm still willing to engage it as long as it's reasonable. But if you can't resist grandstanding and talking over people and blaming people, then I don't know what the point is.
this
There's
is
no
the
point.
deal. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was going to say there's no point in negotiating with somebody who is unwilling to do any negotiating on his, right? Like it's negotiating the other. How much are you going to concede to me is the way that goes. So
That's all he looks for, is how much concession can he get from others? How much can he take?
right.
How much can he get away with? And Domenic brought up the value previously, right? Good behavior, bad behavior. And Flo, you were very polite in pointing out the facts that truth may be offensive, but you don't have to be offensive to share the truth. And bringing forth these insults and negativity, the constant, it's not healthy. It really is not
No,
healthy.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. Sorry, were you saying something, Dominic?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Flo. If you don't mind. You know, just want to finish what you were saying.
Can you turn your mic up a little bit?
Yeah. Okay. Give me a second
Okay.
here.
I got it.
You got it, Jack? Thank you.
Yep.
I'll get closer, actually. I don't know if it's truth for me per se, opposed to patterns. We do have reasons and rhyme patterns, and people's patterns indicate something about them. I heard you say something earlier, to touch back a little bit back onto your initial topic of loyalty. Right or wrong, is that a judgment or discernment? Because once a person understands which one it is, then you'll know what's leading. Is it the ego or who we are? This is why when people say the word is self-aware, opposed to aware of the self. The ego needs to know its place. It's a program. That's all it is. It's strictly a program. I'm using it right now as I'm using my English language. And that's usually the masculine energy because it's programmable. The feminine energy, which we all have, is the teachable energy. Hence why women, usually the mind works through the midbrain. But this is esoteric stuff, obviously. So when we're talking about loyalty, people are loyal to things either aware or unaware. They could be loyal to their underdeveloped feelings. And for a lot of people, I get that. I sense it. They're not really developed in their feelings, but they'll say, but I'm very analytical. I say, yeah, but it's your feelings that's having the issue. Either you're masking it or you don't know how to be a stoic. Like even a sociopath could be a stoic because they're just masking a feeling. But anyway, I don't want to go too far onto that. But it is about loyalty. You're being loyal to a behavior that other people might point out, but they need to be honest with themselves.
And part of the thing is that a lot of the offense that I hear out of Paul is not truth.
Amen. Well, it's imagined, and this is where I've tried discussing with Paul the difference between judgment and discernment to bring awareness to the patterns of ego. But the thing is Domenic said a few things. The ego is who we are, right? But we are not the ego. Just like truth can be offensive, but I don't know, whatever. Maybe that's a bad example.
Jack, the simple way of finding out the ego is you just have to ask questions such as, who runs the body when I'm asleep? Who runs the body when we're hearing each other and running the liquids in the body? That's not the responsibility of the ego. So once a person realizes that, the ego needs to surrender itself in its place, because most people do this, play this perpetual defense and attack. The same reason why a guy needs a gun to attack is the same reason why a person needs it to defend themselves. That's a person that hasn't truly developed both their thoughts and their feelings, and then it manifests itself in their actions. And if a person comes into an inquiry thinking that they have the answer, I say, well, then you're not receptive to possibilities then. I get it. Some questions are basically black or white, but more times than not, especially when you're sharing ideals. I don't know why people feel as though they need to prove a point where, with all sincerity, if you understood that you can only see it through your senses, then what would you be debating, arguing about? One's views. Hence the eye of the beholder, or the Plato's cave mentality. If a person goes inwards, that takes a little bit of an effort, and that's just being honest with the self. That's not being truthful. Truthful is its own energy, same with love. It's its own energy. No. Anyway.
Dude, you're getting into some deep concepts there.
Yes, it is.
Some of the things you said, though, I really actually resonate with the concepts. The idea that, I don't remember how you said it exactly, but the feminine is more teachable. It's that aspect that is within all men and women. The principle of the divine feminine is within, and that brings in the concepts of acceptance. And through acceptance of the information that we can see, there's an intuition. There's a greater perspective that's available from within ourselves through the intuition, through the gut, and through inspiration. That's the mind. Loyalty, though, what you said too, is it does appear that many people are loyal to their unresolved feelings. Maybe that's a nice way of pointing out stunted emotional intelligence. Kids go through trauma, start detaching themselves from reality, living in this persona that they've imagined, that they've created for themselves in order to survive. Maybe it's a character that they have to be perfect in order to not get beaten, or, they got to be funny in order to get attention. There's all sorts of things that kids process, before the mind understands. These bodies and personalities start being formed. I think we got off on a different topic, but
I think that what you're saying is interesting. And I think that you're right. I think that there's a lot of defense mechanisms, or survive. It's not even defense. I think that's the wrong connotation. It's a survival strategy, and it's not a bad one. It just isn't always. It doesn't stay applicable.
That is exact. I learned that from. Have you come across Dr. Gabor Mate?
Yep.
I've mentioned him before. That's where I got a lot of these concepts is that, and what you said, it's a survival mechanism. Our minds and our bodies, they truly are divinely created. And we are not just these bodies. We are not just the physical form. We are so much more. We are the unrealized potential of generations of ancestors, right? We, like it or not, we are actually the toughest of the tough and the smartest of the smart. Those were the ones who supposedly survived, but that's not true.
Ancestral math. If you go back the previous 12 generations, you need 4,094 ancestors. So this
Isn't that amazing? I mean, the probabilities and likelihoods of us coming out to be who we are, it's astronomical. I mean, some of the people have done the math and looked at the odds of, out of however billions of people, for two people to come together at the right time.
together. Maybe only one of them came. We don't know.
Well, that happens too. But the mysteries of life. What's that, Jesse?
I was just going to say that's also if history is true, because there's so much lies and deception. After the mud flood reset, that's when things could have just started, and that's the whole beginning of creation 300 years ago, right? So we don't really know. That's just what we've been told and programmed to believe is true.
Amen. And so here, let's bring this into context too, a lesson I figured for myself. The history, we do not know the history. The future, we absolutely do not know. The only thing we know is now. And so the only thing we can really know is who we are, right? Because we got to be loyal to ourselves. And to do that, though, you got to allow yourself to change. And I was thinking earlier, about that comment from J Hub. We need to define God before we get into the improvement strategies I was talking about. But most importantly, to know anything, you must know yourself. And so here's what I've been trying to think about, right? We are body, mind, and spirit. We know that. I mean, that's pretty logical, and I think people reason that well. But the body, we are this same body that used to have to get our asses wiped, and we had to learn how to potty train ourselves, how to hold our bladder and our bowels so we didn't make messes, right? It's the same body we were infants in. And then we go through the adolescent period.
It's actually a different body every 7 years.
Well, yes, it is a different body. It's always changing. And that's the point. The body changes throughout our lifetime. So the body is not the true who we are. And we're definitely not the roles we play. We're not our occupation. We're not the roles we play in family. We're not the father, the son, we are those things, but we're not. And we're certainly not just the memories and the thoughts. We're more than that. We are the awareness, the eternal awareness, which just happens to see from the perspective of now. So if we can recognize that we live now for tomorrow, we can start imagining and creating a better future for everyone. I truly believe that.
Well said, brother.
Paul is interesting. I'm sorry. In the back chat, Paul offers the observation that apparently the folks here on the panel are enabling my tyrant-like ways and therefore don't deserve respect for not speaking up because I am behaving like a tyrant.
I actually came up here to speak up about something that Paul needs to be held accountable for, because when I was down in the chat, I heard him referring to what he does as holding people accountable. So if he wants more accountability in his life, we can talk about it. But I don't have a long time.
No,
I
this
might.
side.
I'm about to dip out pretty soon, but it could be extended if it needed to. I guess what I'm saying. So, however, I'm not itching to have the conversation now, but I'm definitely not opposed to it, or I wouldn't have brought it up.
You know, I am truly. I have been seeking resolve in conversations with Paul. Today was a step in the
you
right
got to
way.
stop it, though. You got to stop it with some of these people who have nothing but, I mean, a kind presentation is a bad measure for continuous, unchanging malice underneath.
Well, it's clearly egoic confusion. I mean, we live in a
It's
world.
confusion. I think that the confusion is assuming that that's not how they intend to be.
Well, yes. See, belief in things that are not real, belief in imagine fairy tales. Belief in fairy tales creates people who live in delusions. They don't live in the same reality.
I think that the delusion is exactly right there. You said it, is to think that everybody lives in the same reality as us and wants the same things as us. The fairy tale is that everybody wants kindness and happiness.
The kindness is what?
I think assuming everybody operates out of kindness or goodness.
Yes, is a fairy tale. But
right.
In the context of why I brought it up, Mr. Paul Unslaved, he lives in a fairy tale where everyone but him is infidels and liars, particularly me.
Definitely.
Okay? I am neither an infidel. I am certainly not a liar. I am certainly not controlled by demons or all this other bullshit he's imagined and spread. So, yeah, Paul, you like to talk about responsibility and accountability and freedom, yet you run around.
Look at the way that the first thing out of his mouth was trying to convince you not to take money. How fucking absurd and ballsy do you have to be after the Talcott thing that he just did, and after all the donations he requests and has ticker across the screen at his bottom, and after he tried to talk you out of taking your little monthly army thing before it's
right?
It's like fucking insane, bro. It's insane.
It is.
How can you be so malicious that you want other people to be broke?
Brother, thank you. And that's what's so hilarious about his accusations in the back chat here.
But see, here's where you catch some too. How the fuck are you going to act like that dude is having a reasonable conversation with you when you look at the objective or what he's actually trying to do?
I live each day in the moment of now. I learn from the past.
That's a mistake. That's a mistake.
According to those, yep. Possibly. Well, no, I'll give it a possibly. Okay. Because yes, what am I sacrificing? I'm sacrificing my time, my energy, my self-respect. I'm making sacrifices each day to try and engage people who have found conflicts and disagreements with me. This is my life, dude. I mean, if I don't try and settle disagreements, then I just sit home alone, ignored.
Or you just there's a whole shitload of people out there on the internet, especially like there are other people who aren't all malicious.
I know.
Yeah.
Jack, I just wanted to respond because I quickly got to go. So, from what you said for no respect about not saying anything, first of all, I have no obligation to speak for someone who's made false accusations, lied about me, and done things to character assassinate me. So that's first of all. Second of all, he's bitching about the same thing that he does on his panel and then telling people to not go on other panels acting like tyrannical. So I have no obligation to, say anything about to stick up for him. I just wanted to quickly tell you about my day. So I had to spray the ceiling. So I brought a compressor that I had at my house. I get here, the compressor's not big enough. So then I got to go back to get my compressor out of my garage. My compressor's not there. So then I go to the store and I buy a new compressor, but it doesn't come with the hose. So then I got to go back to the store, grab the hose, and they didn't have an actual hose. So now I'm back here, got to spray the ceiling in a bit. If you're still on when I'm done, it's not going to take me too long. I'll come back or whatever. Okay. Love you, man. You're doing awesome, and I'll keep listening.
Respect, Jesse. Thank you. I'm gonna be that dickhead friend though to you. Okay, this is what happens when you're not paying attention to what you're doing, not thinking through what we're doing. But blessings to you. Sorry about the challenges, and you'll feel proud once the job is done. That's funny. Life brings us hiccups, things we don't see what's going on. I don't know.
Life is
right.
a series of problems that need to be fixed.
Yes, it is. But see, that's where the mind can get lost, right? It's a contradiction. What I'm saying, a lot of things that I'm saying, it may appear like a contradiction, but it is the path. Recognizing the perfection in all things, and at the same time seeing the potential, because potential means there's flaws. There's no ignoring the flaws. There's no ignoring the problems. That's just foolishness. But if you can identify the potential and the perfection, and there is a perfection, it can be explained. You know, the order of the past, the layers and layers of time and events and influences brought us to today. And the perfect order of the past brings forth the perfection of this moment. Until we find something wrong. And then when we find something wrong, well, what are we going to do? We can complain about it. Go ahead, Flo.
You fix it.
Amen.
But if something's wrong, you shouldn't just not find it.
If something's wrong, you should not.
Well, I mean, I guess the way that you phrased until we find something wrong sort of implied that the finding of the problem is the issue. But
sometimes it is.
No, you can if there's really a problem that can be fixed, finding it is what you should do.
Amen.
But then if you manufacture a problem, then you're not finding a problem, you're just making one.
Brother, amen. That's what I think our governments and some of these corporations do, is they pick problems. Maybe the medical industry finds a new normal pattern in humanity, says, oh, there's a diagnosis for this. Here, you should take some chemicals so you're normal.
Are you bored in school? Have some meth.
Right? Yeah.
You obviously have a disease that calls for meth.
Dude, humanity is... Dude, there has been a sickness. I was watching today about it was a documentary about tomatoes, the commercial tomato industry.
How do you find yourself watching a documentary about tomatoes? Dude,
I'm fascinated by this world. And
but of all the documentaries about all the interesting shit in this world, you're like, this one's about tomatoes.
Well, I love tomatoes, and it's actually pretty interesting. I think tomatoes and bananas and many of these fucking crops, man, they became popular because of slave labor.
What?
Yep. Slave labor.
You mean they used to use slave labor?
China still is.
I know.
They apparently, that's what this documentary was about how China has really taken over to a great extent the tomato industry, even kind of taken Italy out. And it's apparently where the Uyghurs are at. They got a lot of slave labor, and people are getting paid like, I don't remember, slave wages, like less than $2 a day for picking tomatoes all day. And then they're processed there. The paste is shipped to Italy. They add a little water and salt, call it tomato sauce, sell it all around the world.
Hell yeah.
It's fucking
Thank
crazy.
you, slaves.
Well, but this is the thing. Humanity, we can produce so much.
Jack,
If we
we're all
work
talking
with-
through electronics. I don't want to hear it. You're not wrong, but none of us are in a place to like criticize it because we all support it.
We can change it though. We can influence it. We can influence those who are leading it, directing it, controlling it.
And the best way to do that though is by using our capitalism and not buying things that are produced that way. But
That's
I guess
one way.
here's the it's definitely the best way. It's like the only way, really. Because
There's
they
another
do it.
way.
That's what they do it for. They utilize slave labor to make a profit. If there's no profit there, it guts the incentive.
Correct. And that is the problem that can be corrected. That is the disease that has infected humanity. This worshiping, idolizing profits. Profits above people, profits above environment, profits above sanity. That is what humanity has done. Said, oh, we could have sanity here on earth and abundance and prosperity for everyone. But no. We want to play this stupid game where money costs money or knowledge and resources cost money.
I don't think that we could. I mean, I think that like if you imagine utopia where everything's provided, everybody gets to do what they love and yada yada yada. People create their own problems to have something real to do. We can see it right now with how many young men are cutting their dicks off so they don't commit suicide. It's absolutely a different sort of problem to have no problems.
The solution is to overcome our individual problems. We've got to surrender to the path we're on, to accept that problems we can't continue to ignore them. Complaining about them does no good. And Flo, I agree. One way of dealing with this corporate problem is how we spend our dollars. Another way,
the other one?
Well, the way I'd like to try is something kind of new, kind of not, but it's exercising our rights of equality. And then through schedule.
We don't have that.
Well, supposedly it's written into the laws. And
no, equality of opportunity and treatment under the law, not outcome. That's some communist shit.
I didn't say outcome. You're projecting your
okay, fair enough. Carry on.
Okay, what I'm talking about is equality between citizens and legislators, that they actually, by their choice and occupation, they work for us. And so I think it's time for the American people to remind the legislators who they work for, right? So we get some accountability, some oversight into the employees of the governance. They're not in control. They're not the fucking leaders. They're a bunch of high school punks who are playing these immature games about party bullshit just to keep the masses confused. And whether it's intentional or not, it is inefficient, unhealthy, and immoral, meaning the current corporate and government systems.
So
they are
inefficient. Storm the Capitol.
What's that?
So you're saying we should storm the Capitol? Is that? I'm just kidding. But
yes and no. What I'm hoping to do is find a way to become invited to speak. Now, to get their attention, that's where, I've had challenges getting people's attention, but it's growing. It's growing. And I'm sure eventually, if this is real, if this can happen, this is my goal, Will it work? I don't know. I really don't see logically how How could the government leaders say, no, we cannot accept peace. We have to continue funding the military industrial complex?
Super simple.
Huh.
Self-preservation.
Okay, but that's a fallacy in itself, because there is no self-preservation by continual destruction, by patterns of willful destruction.
Yes, absolutely. If I'm a senator and I know that I'll be unsenatored or unalived by voting against this, then I'm going to vote for it.
But see, that's where I don't think that would happen, because it would not just be one. My goal is to speak to a group of them.
Well, somebody has to go first.
Well, that would be me. And we'll present the case that the 600 citizens roughly of the US government, they actually have the opportunity to lead the rest of the world. Okay, to lead the rest of the world away from this bullshit slavery system that promotes and profits the corporate destruction, meaning all these corporations that profit from our putting diseases and toxins in our body, all of these corporations that profit from manufacturing chemicals and biological weapons and weapons in general, especially those munitions that just cluster bombs that bring real chaos to the future generations, shit like that. That's really being used right now. I think it's time to end this shit, please. Anyone with me?
Jack, can I intercede for a second? Because I think it's an honorable cause you're doing. But if you understand international trade a little bit, they've been doing the global listing for the last 30 years. They're no longer on nationalism. So now it would be probably better served to probably pursue it through the United Nations, but even that, we don't get a chance to vote. Capitalism works only when a small population of 240 million or 280 million of people in America can capitalize on all the other isms. Now, this new world order.
Hold up, back up to that claim. We're not just going to have that as a foundation of what you're about to say.
Okay.
What was it? Capitalism only works when?
Well, first of all, when it's a small population, how would it work if it was Asia or China doing the capitalist procedure? And it only works when you're actually taking advantage of all the other isms. That's why we have the military right now, the empire, which is America's empire. They're actually going in, they guard all their military stuff. Whether the military guys know that or not, that's the responsibility, because the country's not defending their country when they're in somebody else's country. That's called an invasion, or you're protecting corporations' assets. So now this new
agree on that point.
This new world order that they talk about, reverse it own, they're not talking about any isms. You only have ism when you're trying to divide and conquer. Same with religion. Now, if we understand they're after an agenda, they're not concerned about facts and theories.
Correct.
Just to put a little bit out there, Jack, because I get it. Correct. You have an honorable thing. You want to do something. The world is beautiful with or without the human race. But I get it, because we all shit and piss in small little cities. We complain about it, and we forget when we introduce things like Wi-Fi, electricity, and also radio frequency. That does havoc to the vessel, and that's where a lot of our disease come from. But anyway, I'm sorry, guys.
Well, let me respond to that, because I actually kind of agree in part with the military stuff, but the reason that large scale destruction is available is because of centralized power and authority. The great thing about capitalism is it breaks down that in a way that no other system does. Every other system concentrates it more. So we can't get rid of human greed and evil, but we can get rid of the tools that empower them to be greedy and evil on a mass scale.
You can, if you actually have like a mafia living in the same place. But most of these corporations do not live in the country they take advantage of. So when people are capitalizing, they're not capitalizing because I'm an American. They're in another part of the world, and they've already moved most of their shops to China, and they've already realigned themselves with the Russian military. They just want to see all the rest of the countries all lined up.
Right. Anyway. They're able. Right. They take advantage of the government's monopoly on violence. It's always the government that's weaponized.
Yeah. Right. And the people receive the government they allow. The government they create is the one that's formed.
I don't actually believe that.
Today,
unless they're not aware, Jack. Most people cast a vote unaware. That's even more ignorant. Conscious ignorant.
Right. Right.
I think that most of us are not nearly as responsible as we've been set up to believe we are.
Right.
If you look at the way that society
Oh,
works and the
wait,
laws that we're
accountable? I'm
look
sorry
at
to
the
interrupt.
yeah, I mean, but consider the way that the US works, right? Have you ever voted on a law? Did you consent to any law? No, the chain of responsibility and power is so obscure and minute that to me it looks more like gaslighting and victim blaming than it is
Right.
actually.
It's all the entire government and economic systems, both of them. The government system keeps the economic system together, and it's a global commerce. And many people on these streams know the progression of the maritime law and all the commerce laws and all these different bullshit games that people have invented. It's all it's all manipulation and distortion. We don't need we do not need the Federal Reserve or the United States. We don't need government and enforcement if we offer right education and support throughout the communities, throughout our families.
We don't need
That's
Federal Reserve for anything at all. I'll agree with
right,
that. There's nothing that needs to be replaced in it for us to do better. We just need to get the fuck
right.
rid of it.
It came into existence through the citizens of Congress. Now, it wasn't corrected back then. It hasn't been corrected over the years. Guess what? We're alive. We can fucking change this if we get the attention of the right people and convince people that changing the world is possible.
Jack, it's not about the right people. I agree with you until you say we need to get a hold of the right people, which has the baked-in assumption that they're in charge and should stay in charge. It has the undertone of ceding power.
That's a misinterpretation.
Okay.
The reality is today, in today's society, many people willingly, unwillingly, they've given their power away to the government and through their own beliefs, right? The power still exists within them, but people have given all this authority and all this power over to other people. I think it was your stream. You had a cool conversation recently, Flo. I think it was your stream. There was some conversations about law. One of the early Supreme Court justices, I can't remember his name, he said something like, law is simply it's like putting into words what has been practiced. Okay. Right. And that's why most of our law is built on precedent. It's all bullshit to preserve the old ways of rulership.
Well, it follows culture. It follows the existing culture trends. Like you can look at it with marijuana.
Okay, it does. And today we have the opportunity to rewrite. Man's laws are criminal. There's no denial of that. It's provable in so many different ways. What's that?
Some of them I'm okay with. There's nothing criminal, I don't think, about outlawing rape.
That is correct. That's a part of natural law. Natural laws do no harm. Where I'm talking about man's laws are criminal are where they divide us, where they put judges and governance and enforcement. Those are things that communities that we can each do for ourselves. When we become accountable and responsible, that's when we're truly free. But we've got a lot of people that express their freedom without being accountable or responsible.
Right. I agree with that. I agree with all that. If everybody was accountable and responsible, we wouldn't have any need for man's law.
Amen.
Which was my point last night when if you were still up when I went live at like the wee hours in the morning.
I caught it this morning. The replay. That's what I mean. You had some good conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of spurged out on Dreamy at the end of it. He was making me crazy.
I thought you handled yourself very well, but I understood the frustration. Well, here's honestly where the spirituality comes in. Our freedom and morality are tied together. If there is a lot of value to be had from some of the concepts of the criminal and justice systems. There is some value in there, but the way it's been used, it's all about property. It's all about fucking profits.
No, property is important, and profits are how people get property. But the problem is when you profit off of making victims. It's when somebody profits through capitalism, it's a voluntary exchange. And ideally, right, in a free market, it's a voluntary exchange. There's no victims, only winners if it's voluntary. Involuntary.
The problem is without the lack, because of unequal educational opportunities, we've got a big divide between the potential earning capacity of many people, just simply because they haven't had the opportunities to learn. And this current system, we know it's corrupt, whatever name it is. For wealth to have power, there must be poverty. And for the owners to gain loyal workers, well, they just need a desperate workforce.
And they need to squash out competition through minimum wage laws that smaller competitors get. Right. Hear me out. Who is it? You tell me. I'm about to bounce, but I'd like to, if you're cool with it, address You Tell Me's comment that corporations are not for the people.
I agree with it.
Corporations. So the problem with that perspective, though, is it removes. People love to say shit like this and like blaming slavery on China, right? Things that we participate in, but then act like we're not a part of it. The fact of the matter is, every single thing you buy at the store is probably from a corporation. You probably, well, not him, but a lot of people work for corporations. Probably all of us have some sort of an IRA or a 401k that invests in corporations. And as an investor, we are the owners. A corporation isn't an isolated entity. It's a tool that is a tool that everybody uses, including us. Jack, what?
You can share something, Jack? Jack, can I share quickly? On the lingual, when you hear politicians and prime ministers and chancellors using the term, we're here to serve the people, they're not actually talking about the citizens. People means nobles to them. Hence, the Constitution was written for the people. So that's their lingual. You have to understand their game. That's why when they did the pandemic, it's all people. They were informing all their people, all the people in the known. We're doing this 10-year reset. I know it's cruel, but that's their lingual. We're classified as citizens.
Jack, what is your thoughts on?
You described one of the observations that disgusts me. Because it's the truth. No, it's an absolute truth. What you said is there's no avoiding the corporations. The corporations are made of people. They are supported and they receive profits from people. People create the power of the corporations. What pisses me off is just what you said. As a federal employee, we had like a 401k. It's a whatever thrift savings plan where we invest part of our income aside for the future, and they offer matching benefits.
Right.
When I recognized what our corporate Wall Street system is, right? When a business is started, it's typically to serve a need, maybe serve the need of the community and for the workers. It starts out as a business, perhaps, but when it goes public, it's no longer about the customers. It's no longer about the employees. It is all about the shareholders. The shareholders become the owners. They become what directs. And there's always this unwritten and written rule that profits must be returned to the shareholders. So a company goes public. Most of these corporations deny their workers rights. There's no fucking, arbitration process, no appeal process at many corporations as far as workplace issues. So those corporate entities become slave owners. So here I was, a dedicated public servant as a United States postal employee, investing away in my future in slave owner organizations. How deceived am I? As a union leader, I'm investing my future in slave owners.
I mean, unions are sort of slave owning entities, right? You're probably gonna hate me. Unions have found a way to wedge themselves in between management and workers and grift off the workers.
Some have. That has evolved in this profit-driven, corporatized business mindset. Yes, some of the organizations, hell, many of the nonprofits have become corrupted to include some of the labor organizations. I won't deny that, but these organizations are as good as the people within them, and I still have faith in people doing the right thing.
I don't think that it's that as simple as just blaming individuals. I think that if you look at the structure of things, to some extent, like say you have an organ, like the women's right movement is a great example. They won, they got women's suffrage, they got what they wanted, right? But you've got this institution with momentum and resources and power behind it. What do they do now when you get what you want? Unions, I think, have the same curse in the niche that they find themselves in.
Hey, look into some of the labor history, some of the many workers who died trying to achieve.
I'm agreeing with that. Yeah. I'm saying that there definitely was a useful place for them, but they got what they got. They served their purpose to a large extent. They've corrected a lot of that stuff.
Actually, I disagree. I think the Reds, we talked about this before, the Red Scare and the anti-communist movement wanted to punish anyone who had any communist or organizing or socialist ideas, and that included many labor leaders, people who were standing up for equality, better workplace conditions, safety in the workplace. So it was the capitalist agenda. Really, America's history with many of our towns started as these corporations, corporate towns, hiring their own police force to ensure the corporate policies and all of this is enforced. Dude, humans are capable of some very devious things.
Sorry, and yeah, there's sexy. My libido got the best of me.
I think it was Mr. Pie there, wasn't it?
Yep, definitely was.
Got you thinking about sexy.
Yep. That wind in the background, it's reminding me of
I'll hit
never mind. I won't even go there. You can imagine.
I can. I think Mr. Pie is sexy just because there's a little resemblance of he and I. So I think
masturbate while looking in the mirror much?
Are you saying you're my daddy, Jack?
No. We are cut from I don't know. We're all here at this time. And the future, I am loyal to the future. I'm honestly, I raised a hand as a kid, deceived and to serve the wrong organization, but I was blessed to meet some amazing men and women throughout my life. And I still carry that oath within myself for the greater good.
Did you have to make an oath to the post office?
Yep.
That's wild.
Yep.
I got to bounce off, but I'd like to hear what that oath is if you care to say it.
I can't even remember, but hey, bless you. Thank you, Flo. It's always a pleasure, brother. I don't remember the oath for the post office, but I did. As an employee, I took the sanctity and the preservation of privacy. I took that very seriously. And as a window instructor, used to help teach new employees and taught them that, we've got a trust that's been offered by the American public by the way of transmitting their correspondence, their personal information. Anyway, the idea of service, it is something that's within all of us. I think we all have that desire to be worthy to others. Thoughts, panel?
Dominic, you want to go first? Okay,
No,
I'll
go
go.
ahead, Clive. No, you've been here for a while. Go ahead.
No, I had a couple of thoughts on some things you guys were talking about earlier, and I kind of think that the whole world, if we're always talking about making a change, we can do it ourselves. But basically, the ultimate virus out there is the media, because it was made legal to actually give propaganda. So they can literally 90% of the media can spit lies every single day, create fear, doubt, and most people, that's really what they listen to. So then when you have an awakening or your own moment of like truth and a realization of what's kind of going on, you kind of go through like some weird stages, like I did. Like first you're like kind of in disbelief. You're discombobulated, you're kind of scared, and then you kind of start really go into rabbit holes, and then you get pissed off, and then you want to share it with everybody so you can do something to change it all. But then people start thinking you're fucking nuts and crazy, or silence you or whatever else. And then so you look for other communities or other like-minded people, so you feel some sort of sense of not insane. And then you want to change it, but it's really hard to change, because really what controls everyone's mind in the entire world is the media. And luckily now there is our alternative media. There's other ways to get messages out, but the mainstream, most people still listen to that. So for me, the way the whole world could change in a day is if the media was eradicated, or were forced to tell the truth and give disclosure, like the real disclosure of everything, because that's what really everyone wants. Because if they knew the truth and they knew what was going on about the central banks, about whatever else, big pharma, everything that they're doing to us, the world would be pissed and they would demand change, and it would change overnight, in my opinion. But it's hard to do it. We can all change individually, yes, but there's so many people that are scared and don't really know what to do and feel trapped. You just kind of feel like you're stuck in this cyclical bullshit, and there's a hard way to get out of it.
Brother, well said. Welcome,
Jack.
Snafu.
Jack, you mind if I entertain what we share?
Please.
I guess I think I know what you're talking about when you say the world. It's the human, really, because the world itself is okay. Now, if animals started speaking, we would have an issue. Same with the plant kingdom. So it's really about the humans. And when it comes to the humans, we've had problems way before COVID. Oh, sorry, way before whatever. I apologize, Jack, because I guess we're all worried about this kind of crap. So when we had poverty, where were we? When they went around increasing housing and throughout the world, where were we? When women were being violated, where were we? When men get mistreated, where were we? When labor was in other parts of the world, where were we? Because of this global thing now, we could actually start becoming aware of all our fellow beings. When one currency is stronger than another currency, even though America's currency was valued at 9 cents to the dollar in 2005 and 2008, where was everybody? Because they've done the divide and conquer. Where are the 1 billion Catholics or the 1 billion Muslims? Could they all be misled? Sure, they can. So this is why it always has been. That's why you've always lived. This is not on you, Pi. This is in general. We've always lived within that vessel. When a person thinks they're outside, you're still there. This is a self-journey. And in that self-journey, you'll become aware. Everything else is just entertainment. You get to use your senses to do fuckery. Because the senses could easily be misled. You could look up at the sky, you can see those two flashlights. Is it heat? As you jump out of a plane and wonder why it's colder up there than down here. Again, people can play the magnetic game. So when we talk about it's affecting my ego right now, this is what most people are talking. Most people don't realize how self-absorbed we become And then when it comes too close to home, then they make it about somebody else. I said, how interesting a self-absorbed person makes it about me when it's all about them. Most of us have forgot how to steward our bodies. Most of us have forgot, where does the sun and the moon have to be to grow our crops? How high does the grass have to be to graze our animals? Until they become aware of that, what's really going on is we're using a device that they give us so they can collect all this information, and then basically says, interesting, you go to our grocery store, so yes. You buy our gas, yes. Do you use our cars? Yes. Until people are humble enough to be honest with the self, then we can start looking at others. Most people just want to be the left-hand path. Luciferians, me, 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 me. They're not the observer that we all are, and we can see what's my behavior. Because most people are reacting. And until you stop reacting, then you can do responsibility, then you can be accountable. Now, I'm a hypocrite when I'm talking. So I'm not talking from I'm almighty and all that, but then I would be a unicorn if I was all that. But anyway, guys, I went on way too long.
What you were saying, Jeff, and Dominic, yeah, there's a lot of lies. People, we're all on our own individual paths, and as we go through these periods of awakening, each of us goes through perhaps a dark night of the soul as well, where the world starts revealing the truth to you in ways you can no longer deny. And when that happens, man, it feels like your entire life falls out from under you. I've shared mine. I mean, my dark night of the soul was losing my son, my career, all everyone I love, everyone I cared about. I was thinking about that this morning. Fuck, I have wasted so much love. I poured so much fucking love into so many people, only to have them throw me away. So, is that shame on me, or I'm grateful to God for the opportunities to learn of love? And I'm hopeful for the future that more opportunities to love will come forth. And this dark night of the soul is we're learning, like I said, we're going through a shift. It's around the planet. All of this manipulation of currency, all of this corporatized governments, it's all bullshit. People can stop believing in those things. I mean, life is here for us. It's here for us to use. Money is a tool that others invented that we get to use, right? It's a tool for us to exchange and purchase and acquire the things that we hope for, we want. So I'm not denying the existence of money. I know there's people in the chat wanting to call me a hypocrite because I see through the foolishness of wasting your life chasing money. Guys, Jesse, you're muted, brother, if you're talking to us. Can't hear you. I'd prefer you drive safely, though, okay? And I'd prefer to know you made it home safely than to hear the thoughts you're thinking at this moment. I don't know. Maybe he'll return. But actually, so what solutions? You guys, thoughts for the future?
Well, I was thinking about what I've noticed a lot of people talk about, and I know you do a lot, is talking about the ego, and like it's maybe a bad thing or something like that. But I look at the ego as part of, like, it's like my arm or my leg. It's part of who I am. It's not separate from the rest of my body. So trying to fight the ego or something that is us is it's kind of a conundrum to me, or like it's perplexing, because if you have it in check, it's really useful. But if you blame the ego for everything, then you're just kind of blaming yourself, because it's kind of part of who you are.
The key to the ego, when I say the ego, I'm talking about it is who we are, I guess. And the ego can be an incredible tool, a tool for us to experience our lives and to grow into something more. But for me, edging God out, that is really what the ego is. When we get these thoughts in our head that, you know, I'm above others, I'm above the truth, I'm above whatever, that's insanity. And this money is a tool for dependency. I've said this, money, if it was not for money, slavery would not exist. Simple as that.
Jack, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
So what I
brother.
wanted to say was that I resonated so much with what Domenic said, and if there was full disclosure, if people knew what and how things were transpiring, things would change overnight. People would demand accountability. And right now, the big excuse is why there isn't full disclosure is because people couldn't handle the truth. People would go crazy if they really knew what was going on. And I think that's a big cop out for them, you know, continuing on with the plan. And people believe that, oh, the trust the plan and all that shit, then there would be full disclosure. And until there's full disclosure, there is no trust of the plan.
That's how I see it. Amen, brother. Until the disclosure, until the systems are changed, I don't trust in anyone's alleged plans unless I'm a part of them. And I don't know. I'm excited for the future, guys. Because yeah.
I was just going to say, so you'll never believe I got back with the cable in one end was wrong again. So I had to go back to the store. The last 4 hours I've been driving around, I haven't done anything but drive around, try to get this stupid machine working. So, whatchamacallit, I'm going to try to do High Vibe Love Tribe tonight. I'm happy that you came to the Missing Links interview today. It was amazing that, you know, that doctor and, you know, psychologist that we interviewed. It was just amazing. Next week, we've got Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong on our show. So that's going to be fascinating to pick his brain. We're not allowed to talk anything politics, but, you know, I'm sure we'll have a hoot. No pun intended. And whatchamacallit, I'm back again. I'll still be listening. I think you're wrapping up soon anyways, but I'm back to trying to see if I could spray the ceiling so I can start the High Vibe Love Tribe at 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. our time. So if you can, check it out. We dance for an hour, doing some weights. Then we do a guided meditation, some healing frequencies, Tibetan singing bowl, and then pull some Viking healing runes, try to work on our intuitive skills to pick that out. So that's what we'll be doing. High Vibe Love Tribe on YouTube, is it? And also on our Facebook page, High Vibe Love Tribe. So just wanted to plug that if anybody cares or interested in any of that. Love you, Jack. You're doing awesome work. And, you know, God bless you, brother.
Jesse, thank you, brother. Good luck with the project. And thank you, as always, for your support. Yes, High Vibe Love Tribe later on this evening. And I'll try to get the link dropped here too later.
Jack, can I give a metaphor on the ego?
Pardon? Please.
Yeah. Like a metaphor. It's kind of like how everything that's depicted, like we have like positive and negative and grounding. Hence, we got a car. It's kind of like the sun and the moon, and you have grounding. It's the same idea. So the ego, know thyself. Who's the knower and who's the self? The analogy that I'm going to use or the metaphor is on the computer. You have a computer. That's like our body. You have a program. You have a ongoing program, which would be called the ego. Then you have a hard drive behind the ego. Some people might refer to as the higher self. But also you have electricity and Wi-Fi going to it. So now if you think of air and you think of the magnetic realm that we're in, that's how it works. The ego, unfortunately, it's kind of like a child running the family. It doesn't know its place. Now, some people, I get it, we do use our ego on all the time. This is why we have all the different languages that we use, numbers, colors, French, Latin, Spanish, Braille, whatever. The ego can learn all of that, and we can tap into something called the mind. Language already exists. We just have to learn it. It's like nature. Everything's already here. Whatever source, God, whatever we want to call it, has left all our needs here. Our job is to find our wants. How do I become a farmer? Do I have to read the sky? Just to give an insight of what some people depictuate what the self, the ego is. Not a bad thing. It's just it's been misplaced. in its order. It's like it doesn't run the body.
I would say,
That's
yeah, and to compound on that, I would say that the ego is the more of the conscious mind, because I think 90% of us is run, is the subconscious. Just we don't tell ourselves to breathe or our heart to pump or anything else. So the ego is the recognition that we are conscious or alive. And then the ego has all these experiences, which is us or me as Jeff, and we try to make sense of reality, whatever this is, and who we are, whether it be through our experiences or what people say about us. And that's where I think it gets twisted, because a lot of people are so insecure, lack self-worth, they're confused, and their whole life they're trying to find themselves, the ego, who Jeff is, and they let a lot of outside factors dictate who they are. So if you have a lot of people telling you you're a piece of shit, this is why I think communication and the words that you use are very powerful, because my entire life, even like my mom, and there's some things that have resonated with me through my life to where she's just like, kill them with kindness. And I know it's kind of cupcake. It sounds cupcake or whatever, but you really never know like how much just a simple little, like if I said to Jack today, like, hey man, you look really handsome, or just a stranger or anybody, you just saying one like little nice thing could really flip someone's day. And because some people need that shit. Like some people work off of the opposite. I have a friend, it's kind of funny, like most of my more wealthy friends, they like people to talk shit to them, because they're like, hey, it drives them. They're like, oh yeah, fuck you, I'll show you. And they love it when someone talks shit to them. For me, I like to be, personally, I thrive off of some like good morale. Like, hey, great job today, instead of, hey, why didn't you do enough, when I'm already kicking ass. Like for me, it turns me the other way. And so people are wired differently with how they take criticism. And not saying that criticism's bad, but I think there's certain ways you have to be malleable and be able to move a certain way to read people and know how to talk to different people. Need to be talked to certain ways, in my opinion. And some people are more fragile and some people need a kick in the ass. So it's just kind of one of those things.
And this is why some people, if people study, they can do body consciousness. They literally can talk to their body. It's its own intelligence. But unfortunately, we've been conditioned to think that I'm the body or I'm not the body. My question would be for anybody when I hear that, who's speaking? It's one of those aha moments. Like when I tell people, you honestly think you have an external teacher? Well, then ask your parents or your loved ones. Did they teach you how to breathe? No. That's beyond the ego. It's just an ongoing program. Now, we think it's kind of like technology. We're sitting in technology. We have many receivers in this body, like many. The hemispheres are just two. The heart's one receiver. The midbrain has about 5 or 6. You got the sole of your feet. There's 2 there. We have many receivers. When a person really realizes that, oh, I'm received, but from where? And that's when you become the seeker now. Now, that's why you see these gurus in India. They're sitting there. They're constantly downloading information because they're not using a spoken or thought language. Well, actually, they are using thought language or conscious language, we're going to call it. Subconscious, whatever. It's just words. Yep. We're playing with words, but I get it. But anyway,
exactly. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to shut it down. These are actually some topics I intend to touch on again in the closing. So, final words. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Appreciate you guys. Have a blessed Saturday.
You as well, brother. Good to see you.
Thank you, buddy. Much love, Jack. Have a good one. Much love.
You as well. Thank you. Thank you for joining. These ideas on the ego and consciousness, they can appear confusing. They can appear contradictory, but the reality is we've all got an ego within us. We've all got a left brain, right mind, logical, intuitive, masculine, feminine, good, evil. We've all got all of these things within us. So what do we do? one of the things I was considering earlier is thoughts, and I think Domenic touched on this. We're not the thoughts. We're the observer of the thoughts. We're the awareness of the thoughts. The thoughts come from what was. And if we move beyond the thoughts, beyond the words, well, here's where I was considering thoughts earlier. Thoughts are the formation of information and feelings. Thoughts are the formation of information through perception. So the information and feelings, the information and perception, that can be arranged in a divine order or in a selfish, dark, controlling, egoic order. See, the ego is here to preserve us. It's part of natural state. It's the development that helps develop the character of who we are, and the ego is our character. So who do we choose to serve with our character? Are we here for the world to serve us? You know, are we here just to consume and to take or to earn everything we can? Or are we here to explore, to learn about, to nurture, to to care for, to love, to become? We are the universe. The universe is us. There's no separation. And as I said earlier, I believe collectively, whether you like it or not, whether your ego wants to accept it or not, there's plenty of evidence that shows humanity is going through a shift in consciousness, a shift in values, a shift in direction, perhaps. And I think it's time for many people to stop focusing on the past. Stop being loyal to the past, loyal to the problems, loyal to the disagreements, loyal to the hate. Stop with the foolish selfishness. Seriously, all of us. When we overcome our selfishness and fill ourselves truly, honestly, with the desire to be loyal to God, loyal to love, to be loyal to the truth. And I tell you, be loyal to life. Love living you and live you with love. Thank you, brothers and sisters, to all who joined the panel. Thought about naming, but hey, actually, let me address that as well. Thank you for returning. Snafu, brother. I hope all is well. You doing all right?
I'm still here, man. I just got to say, fuck all you pogos. Much love.
Snafu, respect to you. Please, brothers and sisters, obviously, the appearance of a different status and a different condition for Snafu. So please join me in offering my intentions, my prayers for him. May God bring healing to his body, peace to his mind, and fill his heart. And may that happen for all of you. May your future today, tomorrow, until next time, and please do the subscribe thing, hit the notification so you know when I show up, and I hope you join again. I offer my prayers not only to Snafu, my prayers to God. May we all find an abundance of health, an abundance of peace, and an abundance of life until we meet again. Thank you again. Choose love, peace for everyone, and of course, live without fear. God bless and thank you.